had a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Pass 3-0. Where's the application number here? All right, we have application 202213 Victor. That's Timothy Kimball and Holly Kimball. Do we have the applicant?
Here.
You step up to the podium, please, and sign in. You have 15 minutes, and then there'll be questions. Our questions will not take away from your time.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the process, so what do you need from me here?
Give us an idea of what you're asking for and why.
All right, so I'm representing, obviously, Gigi's Therapy Farm and Rescue. So what we're trying to do is first stage is to bring an animal rescue, primarily dogs and cats. We already state licensed and have our permits through them. They limit our animals to 20. So what I think we're here to ask permitting from you guys so that we can put up a small barn directly behind the house to house, like we have some chickens and we have ducks and so on and so forth right now. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, that's the first stage, and the second stage is actually to bring adolescent therapy through the farm for any traumatic experiences. We want to work with the state and whatnot in that realm, or whatever you want to say.
And we're wanting to reduce the setback from 250 to 50,
200 maybe, I think. We'll see.
200 to 50.
We will be putting up privacy fence, if that's a question that you guys may have later on, in the complete realm of the property with exception of road frontage. In that event, we will have a 6-foot like chain link type fence. But there'll be no animals out by the road. Everything will be primarily from the rear of the house back to the back of the property.
So you said you are limited to 20 animals at a time,
Correct.
and that includes what you have. You said you have some chickens and
Yes, that does include any animals, period. You know, whether it be a mice in a cage or whatever. You know, the state foresaw that with the size of property we have, they wanted to limit us to 20. And there's another common issue, you know, people will hoard animals and whatnot and create problems and stuff like that. So they've implemented that type of situation for people that want to do what we do.
So, no, go ahead.
You mentioned mostly cats and dogs, obviously.
Correct.
Are these rescue type?
Correct.
Okay. And all sorts of dogs, I mean, across the board?
We do. So my part of the therapy side of it is we're listed with some of the other counties, like Cobb County, for say example, and they'll call us when they're overrun, so to speak. And I work mostly with aggressive breeds like pit bulls or whatnot. And then so I'll work with them for a couple of weeks, evaluate them, and see if they are going to be trustworthy type dogs before we put them in that environment. If they're not, then we get back obviously with the state and work out issues with them, you know, the county that they came from, to take the animals back. we've not had any issues, you know, we've been doing it on a smaller scale, 1 or 2 at a time. And probably in the 10 years, we've not had a single issue with bites or escapes or fights or, you know, because I just keep them separated until I do an evaluation on them and work with them for a couple of weeks.
And you mentioned, I think, that you were licensed
Through the state, yes.
To the state. So even as you grow, there would still be state inspections and state.
Correct.
Okay.
Right now, they're coming bi-quarterly, so last time we had an inspection was like 6 months. Or, I'm sorry, the latest one was actually 2 months ago.
Okay.
So,
Do all of the animals that you bring in get brought up to date on all of their vaccinations?
correct. Normally, the counties that will call us, if somebody is self-surrendering, then we do that automatically. We take them within the first week, we get them checked out and get their vaccinations done. We do that with donations.
So I noticed on the site plan, you've got the proposed building and then a proposed pen that's going to be fenced in,
Correct.
I'm assuming. And, the variance that you're requesting is for 50 feet, although it seems to be a great distance away from the proposed building and pen. Is there a specific reason for that, or?
That I couldn't tell you. Dad is an engineer, so he probably suggested we ask for that or whatever. My wife generally handles all of this type of stuff, but she's in the hospital again.
So I guess what I'm going to is what he's got shown, is that going to be enough to suit your need for the 20 animals? You're not going to need any more area, are you?
No. No, then that would be fine.
Is it possible to say maybe that rear line and that left line could be 100 foot instead of 50? Because it don't look like it would encroach on that area that's designated on the plan.
If anything, you know, if any, I'm sorry, can I take that, please? If anything, we'd like to back it up to, you know, as close as we can to the back line. And the left line, if you're looking from the road, the left
Mhm.
line, because that's actually probably the neighbor that's worried about getting out type nuisances or whatever. That could come in, that would be fine.
Chris, we got it. The neighbor that emailed, which side are they on?
They're on the west side.
On the left, yeah, looking at it from the road.
The car.
And there's no home behind it. I know there's property back there, but
Correct.
yeah.
And I've spoke with, I think I can't remember Mike's last name, but I've spoke with him that owns the property behind us,
Mhm.
personally, you know, and we're kind of in discussions of maybe purchasing that property from him as well.
Okay.
So he doesn't have a problem, you know, backing up to it if we need to.
Mhm.
In this letter that the car sent, have you spoken with them personally, the car?
have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that they're concerned, they're okay with this, they're just a little bit concerned about the noise
Yeah.
of more animals and that kind of stuff, so you can just take whatever measure. I don't know how, is there just dogs barking 24/7, or is it not?
Well, no, so we have kennels on the
Okay.
inside.
Okay,
The garage is in the process of getting converted over to stainless floors and the whole 9 yards.
okay,
But right now, the only time that they're outside is between hours of 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. for about half an hour in the mornings. And then I go at lunchtime and they're out from 12 to 12:45. And then they're out for about 30 minutes in the evening time.
Okay.
You know, and that just is with meal times and then bathroom break.
right,
On the weekends, they're only out maybe 2 hours tops for the whole day. You know, we let them out and run and we walk them and, you know, the 9 yards, whatever you'd want to say there. And I think the privacy fence would help with that as well. Primarily, the space outside is just going to be just recreation area on a time frame type matter, you know what I mean?
right. Chris, has there been any negative, has there been any response?
I've also had spoken with the cars, and they were like, we just didn't want it to get a nuisance or too many dogs or anything. And I know Mr. Campbell here is expressed that the state's only going to allow them 20. Just one thing I always had to look at, with his business, he's got some limitations, but just to have own personal pets, there's never a limitation,
Right,
which is ironic.
right.
How many people that, you said it's going to be, I guess some type of service there where people will be coming. How many people do you expect to be in and out of there on a daily basis? Should be limited if you've only got 20.
No, well, so we'll actually have an off-site office,
Mhm.
and nothing actually on the property. That'll be on a limited basis of not so severe cases. Children that are in the system have been through a lot, and some of the stuff is severe. And we feel like by me having the dogs and training the dogs and stuff like that as a therapy dog, that would be the expression, that we would only have limited maybe 1 to 2 a day once we get to that phase, but we're talking 3 to 5 years down the road. We're not talking about anything immediate right now. And truth be told, it's going to take a while to get the property to what I feel like would be showable, and have people in and out anyway.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variance for 150-foot setback on the front, 50-foot on the east property line, 50-foot on the rear, but 100-foot on the west property line, along with the stipulation that the privacy fence be constructed along the perimeter of the property and the 6-foot chain link fence along the right-of-way be installed.
We have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There are no nays. Motion carries. Do we have any other business?
Thank you.
We will have a January meeting. It would be the 10th, I believe.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.